Hello everyone, Serpent Mongrel here, and I'm just I don't know, I guess I just kind of felt like doing a first episode of, I guess like a dev diary or author diary. I don't know, just something to put on my channel, because I don't really put up a whole lot. Probably gonna do, I don't know, updates or, diaries or hell, even maybe playthroughs of certain maps, either from the review queue or just my personal, uh, I guess, playthrough of certain maps, especially ones that I played before, because there's some maps that I actually genuinely enjoy playing. Periodically, I freaking love Doom SnapMap. I'm not gonna lie, it's I guess for right now, it's a pretty big passion of mine. Aside from other things, I have a passion for some other things as well. But for right now, that I think this is like the newest, most recent passion that I have. So anyway, before I go off on a tangent, I guess I don't know. I tend to do that a lot, where I go off on a tangent, like right now, and I'm gonna stop it. um, so yeah, pretty much what I have here. This is a map that I have been working on. Uh, this is more or less like an introductory survival map of and I use that together to kind of like give an idea of the certain, I guess, like game mechanics that I want to have going on, such as like the core game mechanics that I want to start implementing into my maps are several things. And the big one is something that I call an in-map reset. And I kind of tossed this idea to Z-Man Zilla, and he liked the idea, and he also tossed an idea of his own with mine. And with what I've tested so far, because I've been testing this in-map reset idea for like, I swear it's been like several months now, and it's just been working like peanut butter and jelly. I swear to God, it's actually really good. And pretty much what these two things are is that the component am that I'm trying to implement is that whenever whenever a player dies, pretty much what it does is that it puts the player right back at the beginning. It doesn't spawn them in the current module that they're at, even if it's a lockdown. They get spawned back all the way at the beginning. However, what that does is that resets certain triggers to kind of like, I guess, reset certain events. So instead of having to go through the whole ordeal of going through a failure, like a failure condition when the player dies, and then the player has to get kicked out into the lobby and then start the map up again and wait for like another like 60 and 90 seconds or something like that for the map to load up, which is absolutely ridiculous, because honestly, who likes that shit? Nobody likes that shit. So this idea pretty much is to completely, like the goal of this is to completely avoid the uh, the loading times and still be able to allow the player to jump right back into the action, but also kind of give the player the ability to, I guess, like to provide a challenge, I guess. More so that the player can't use checkpoints, which maybe is something that I'll try to figure out how to make that work, I suppose. Maybe what I'll do is that I'll have like a certain hub, like I have in this particular module, actually, this rectangle. Or I kind of had this idea where if it's like, okay, so I can't use checkpoints um, for like I tried to do stuff like disabling and enabling player starts, which I think that when I tried to do it, I'm not sure what I was doing wrong, but it didn't seem to work for me. So I had this other idea where I would have a hub or something like that with a series of triggers that would only get activated at certain points. So whenever you died, you would be brought back into the hub, and whatever areas that you kind of unlocked, that would be represented through certain triggers that you can interact with. So if there's an area that you haven't gotten to yet, that trigger would not be activated until you actually got to that area. So that's just something that I had an idea, and I'm going to try to figure out how to make that work. Or, if I do figure out how to make that work, I would get it play tested and see how well it does, or how well it works with the other logic. Because I have a lot of logic, especially in this particular area where I guess this is sort of like my logic warehouse, because this is where I keep, yeah, like this is for the introductory survival map, which is in this area. So this is where I have most of my logic, where I play test certain things and all that stuff. And then here is where I'm talking about this in-map reset, where pretty much as it's composed. And also, I don't mind if people use my, logic chain. Like, you're watching this right now, you can feel free to just, you know, use this in your map too. Or, hell, you can come to my map and, you can build off of what I've made. I don't mind, honestly. I really don't mind. Uh, so yeah, pretty much, I have this, and what it's made of is starting here with the player proxy, and either on killed or killed self. What it'll do is that it will start the AI iterator, and here's the AI iterator, and then for each AI, it would remove the daemon, and here's the AI proxy. So whenever the player dies, all the daemons would get removed, and at the same time, on killed or killed self, this will enable and disable certain triggers, and it would also or in this case, with my introductory survival map, I have a disable player start, and the actual player start is in this area. And then when you die, these demons would get removed because you're supposed to get killed by these are imps. You're supposed to get killed by these imps because they're super powerful. I just set them like that on purpose. So you would spawn here, and then, you would have this whole thing. This is where I was originally going to have my, the same thing with these things, acting like, the interactives that you can use to go to different areas, but that was before I decided to make this an introductory survival map. So for now, I'm probably going to change the size of this room, and, on top of that, here's some other stuff that I've been working on. Here's for a certain trigger that if you get a certain key, you can use it for a certain interactive, and on random, you'll get one of these weapons, and that also includes the BFG. So each, you never know what you're gonna get, and all of these are modded or weapons that usually don't show up in the main campaign. For example, like I've got, here's a mod for the static fuel mod for the pulse rifle. Got the lightning gun. The mastered versions of certain mods, including micro missiles. I love micro missiles; they're fun. The gas cannon shows up in the main playthrough, but you know what I mean. So here's also the same thing. This is kind of like what I was testing it on before. So I've got that, and I'm going to show you what my survival map looks like. Also, I have this set up in a certain way to kind of keep things clutter free, I guess. Also, I am I am not like a expert level designer by any means. Like, I have a big passion for stuff like this, mainly because back in college I used to visit a website called Quadicton, which is where a lot of the what's it called? A lot of the like maps, the custom maps that people made for Quake. Oh my God, people have made some amazing maps. Like, seriously, it's absolutely unbelievable, especially to the point that they had to use like a different like a different file or a different type of file, because they come in the BSP format originally, and with the with like the new engines that they made to do a lot more intricate level designs, they ended up having to do BSP2 maps, which I think is not very common, but even so, with regular BSP file maps, or yeah, with maps that use the BSP file, people have made like amazing maps. It's absolutely ridiculous. Some of them are just like have really good detail in it, really good atmosphere. On top of that, having some technical things thrown in there that you usually don't find in like in the original Quake engine. It's just really awesome. So this is what my survival map looks like. Uh, it's very dark. I know that it's very dark. I might add more lighting probably, but for now, I don't know. I kind of like the whole glowing aspect of certain things, especially when a lot of the demons that you encounter, you can kind of, uh, notice that they're around just because, like for example, their eyes glow, or they're gonna, you know, throw a projectile at you or something like that. But then there are certain enemies that you can't see too, and I think that kind of has to challenge, like Hell Knights. You can't see Hell Knights, and you can't see Revenants unless they're up in the air and they're like aiming at you with the laser sight. So you can see here too, I've got weapon placements that you could just run around and pick up. However, the thing is too, is that this whole thing doesn't start until you actually go and get the weapons, or if you get the Berserk pickup, which respawns about every what is that, 4 minutes. No, I think that's 3 minutes actually. 30, 60, 90, 60, 120, 180. Yeah, that's 3 minutes. So I've got this here, and then this is also where you can, I kind of like how I have this set up. I'll show you in a little bit. And I kind of have this set up where you can use this. I wanted to leave this a little bit vague because I wanted to have the player's curiosity to kind of go like, oh, what's over there, and then get surprised when they use this interactive, and then there will be a message that'll say like a random weapon has been given, and you can only use this using the using only the red skull key, and the red skull key is dropped by, let's see here, where are you? Yeah, here we go. It's only killed by a certain baron that spawns in. And I think this one, yeah, this one spawns in when the droppable is picked up. And this certain droppable is with the yellow skull key. So in order to spawn him, you have to pick up this yellow skull key. And you use, I guess this is kind of like a spoiler, but the yellow skull key is not for anything special other than for bonus kills, I guess. And this is what you would use it with, indicated by the yellow blood. And I'm going to have like some red glowing blood up here too. About to do that in a moment. But yeah, the bonus unwilling, pretty much, you get a message for that. If you don't have the yellow skull key and you try to use it, they don't spawn. If you do have it, they do spawn, and they all spawn around the Berserk. And also certain enemies, they have a repeater on them that start about every, they repeat every 3 times. And let's see. And they have a delay too, so it's about 3 minutes in between each spawning. But even so, some enemies will run through the triggers for you, and certain pickups also trigger certain things. So it's just kind of like, no matter what you do, you're surrounded by triggers. So anything that you interact with, you're going to end up spawning the enemies. So you can get easily overwhelmed, and that's kind of the point too, because you also, this is Z-Man's Idilla. Z-Man's Idilla, apparently. Z-Manzilla's idea for this was pretty much that whenever you spawn back at the beginning, you're given two choices. And the choice is to either to jump back into the fight and reset your score, or just quit the map with whatever score that you have, and that's it. So you can just try and try again without having to go through the reload times, and I think that's those two things really work like peanut butter and jelly. So you don't have to go through loading times because loading times suck. So and on top of that too, you could just jump back in again and again and again without having to waste any time. So hell, you could just get as many kills as you want, and you can probably get an ass load of SnapMap points for it. Excuse me, I had to clear my throat. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I guess it's kind of like a part one of Dev Diary. So thanks for watching, and see you later.